The late game today saw West Ham take on Newcastle. Newcastle in the end with a thoroughly deserved 2-0 victory. And of course we had to keep Shaka Hislop with us to discuss his old teams going head to head. Shaka, let's start off with Newcastle. Perfect start, took their chances and got the 3 points.
Absolutely. Steve Bruce should be delighted with how things went today. You come down to London, you get 3 points, get your season off to a winning start. You get goals from two players you signed in the summer, in Wilson and Hendricks. And Newcastle looked solid. You know, at times during last season, my big criticism of them was simply that they would defend and hope to keep a clean sheet and hope that somebody from the opposition slipped and fell over unexpectedly because they didn't have much of a game plan going forward. This time around, on this evidence, against a West Ham team who, by the looks of it, will struggle during the course of this campaign, Newcastle looked solid. They looked like they knew what they were doing. They were able to make changes and affect the game in a way that I don't think we'd seen from them last season. If you're Newcastle, you're happy with what you saw. It's not going to get you into the top six, but it certainly would stave away some of those relegation concerns that plagued you for a lot of last season.
Well, of course, last season when Bruce came in, everyone was like, everyone was talking then about Newcastle, obviously not having the funds to reinforce. But today it just showed, wasn't it, what he brings and what his side will bring to these sort of matches. They will be well organised, and if they can take their chances with these new signings, they will.
Yeah, and that's right. And right now, that's a huge step in the right direction. As I mentioned, they had been organised before, albeit defensively. But I just felt that the previous versions of Newcastle we've seen under Steve Bruce were, we're going to defend as best we can. We're going to play as deep as we possibly can. And then maybe we launch one long and hope to get something from a set piece if we throw Andy Carroll on. But there never seemed to be much more thought, attack-wise, from Newcastle. This time around, I felt it was different. You saw the running of Wilson up front. You saw John Joe Shelby joining in, a player who I've always liked and think adds a whole lot to this team. Hendricks coming in, again, provided an assist for the first goal and an incredible finish for the second. I can't describe how hard that is to do, to dig a dead ball out the way that he did in finding the top corner. You come away from that and you are simply delighted. You're looking forward to training this week. You're looking forward to the games that are to come, when over the last season or two, I'm not sure Newcastle United had too many of those weeks.
And very much then at the opposite end of the spectrum, West Ham were terrible, Shaq.
Yeah, and that's a challenge under David Moyes. He was brought in to do a job. The thing with West Ham is the last time David Moyes was brought in to do a job, he did it, they stayed up, but he was replaced and they found themselves in relegation fights yet again. David Moyes brought back in to keep them up, and he did that. So the ownership group felt that he deserved a shot, and all things being equal, he probably did. But under David Moyes, you know what you're going to get, certainly this version of West Ham. And listen, for the life of me, and I know it's a difficult start to the season in that you had a short, almost non-existent pre-season, given what happened earlier in the year, the pandemic and the late finish to the season, and you aren't able really to get things right. But given the games that West Ham have to come, where I'm not sure where the next 3 points are going to come from, or if they were going to get three points in the next six, I think you throw everything you have at this and hope for the best. I thought West Ham's strongest team is the team that we saw finished with Yarmolenko, Felipe Anderson, and Sebastian Heller sitting in behind Michael Antonio. Mark Noble, who I think the world of, but he doesn't have the legs to lead an attack or to drive West Ham's midfield. And as a result, what you've seen for much of this game was dour and doesn't give you much hope for what's to come. And now West Ham's challenge, now David Moyes' challenge is, if they find themselves back end of October, first week of November, without a win, which is a distinct possibility now, propping up the table, confidence is hard to come by. Points are even harder. You're in a relegation fight where we all know how those go and how important good starts to the season are. And you're just not sure how you get it right at that point.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.